If you're looking to buy a brand new car, but you want to spend under $20,000, your options are extremely limited. For the year 2023, there were only 3 cars sold brand new in the United States that you could get for under $20,000, including destination. There was the Mitsubishi Mirage, the Kia Rio, and this, the Nissan Versa. Now, the Mitsubishi Mirage's future is in doubt. Mitsubishi has not confirmed that it is going away, but that is the likely outcome for that car. As for the Kia Rio, it will be gone after the 2023 model year. There will not be a 2024. So in all likelihood, that leaves this 2024 Nissan Versa as the only 24 model year vehicle that you will be able to buy for under $20,000. Is it a good deal? That's what we're gonna find out. So let's start off with a walk around of the Versa. I must immediately point out that the one we are driving is the SR. This is the top trim level, and for the 2024 model year, it is no longer under $20,000. Nissan has increased the prices a little bit for 2024. We will go over pricing at the end of this video, but I want to make you aware. I asked for a base one. I said, can you send me the cheapest Versa that you sell with the 5-speed manual transmission? And unfortunately, Nissan wanted to send me the fully loaded SR trim. But with that in mind, let's look at the grille, which changed last year for the 2023 model year. They updated the Versa's styling here at the front. I think this grille honestly looks great. They've really taken a cheap car and made it look a little bit more expensive. We've got the black grille with these kind of chrome streaks right here that make it look as though the grille is kind of continuing. We have LED headlights here on the SR trim. The lower trims are all going to get halogens. This is a new color. I believe it's called gray sky pearl, something like that. It's like kind of like a flat gray. These have been very popular in recent years. It almost has like a purplish tint to it in certain lights. I think it looks really nice, actually. We do have larger 17-inch wheels here. 16-inch Steelies are what's going to come base on the Versa, but you can option to alloys as well. But the SR gets special wheels that have this kind of two-tone finish. We do have the black mirrors right here, which is kind of nice. Here at the back, you're not going to see a lot of changes since the Versa first debuted in 2020. We do have the new Nissan logo, and I do like how the SR trim levels get this kind of orangey badging. It just makes it look really sporty, and we do have even just a little lip spoiler on the back here, giving some flair to this cheap little car. All right, now let's see what the interior of the highest trim of the cheapest car in America looks like. Now remember, this is the SR trim, so this is not actually the cheapest new vehicle that you can buy in America. We get a nicer special seat fabric on the SR trim. We've got a little bit of this reddish orange here with this little stripe in the middle. The seats don't look quite this nice on the lower trim levels, but these are actually pretty nice. These are even heated seats here on this SR. So again, low price point, but we do have high feature content with the heated seats. We also have push button start. That is going to come to the Versa starting on the SV trim, so you don't even have to get the fully loaded trim to get push button start, which is quite nice. Every Versa is going to have a 7-inch touchscreen right here. The base model actually does not have Apple CarPlay. You have to add that as part of an S Plus package, but the upper trims all have it, and this is actually the larger 8-inch screen, which comes as part of the SR trim. So you have to go all the way up to the SR to get this larger touchscreen, which does have Apple CarPlay. 4 speakers is what you're going to get as base, but the SR is going to bring that up to a whopping 6 speakers, which is, you know, kind of nice. We also have this Primatex. It's like their faux leather here on the dash, just classes up the whole interior just a little bit there. We also have a wireless charger for your phone. Kind of crazy that you get one of those starting at the SV trim. I've been in a lot more expensive cars that don't have that. You also get a USB-C port, which is quite nice. I believe that is part of the SR as well. So we also have a leather steering wheel. Before we get it on the road, we get adaptive cruise control as part of the SR. We do have this little digital screen here, as you can see. So right now it is showing me my fuel economy, but if I use this little D-pad here on the steering wheel. I can have it just show my tachometer. Everything except the base model is going to have this. The SV is what's going to add this little driver assist display. The base S model is just going to have normal gauges right there. You're also going to get automatic climate control here. It's kind of basic, but you know, you can actually put this into auto mode and it'll adjust the fan speed by itself. These are all pretty impressive things given the price level of this little car. We do have a few options, including this auto dimming mirror. We've got the garage door openers below it. But again, there's really not a whole lot of options that you can do on this car. I mean, at the base level you can. Like at the base level, the armrest isn't actually even included here. You have to add that, but you do get it on the SR trim. Don't expect this to be a very like plush cabin. This is all hard plastic. This is all hard plastic. And the door card itself is actually, you know, just not super expensive. But honestly, given the price of this, this all feels well worth the money. And this back seat is not huge. I believe Nissan did make it a little bit larger for this generation of Versa compared to the last, but this is a pretty small car, so don't expect like the roomiest back seat in the world. That being said, I can sit behind myself rather comfortably. There's really not a whole lot to look at. You don't get rear air vents or anything, but that being said, you do get a USB-C port back here. Again, that's kind of nice at a car of this price point. I literally just got out of a Mercedes C43 last week that was $70,000. It did not have any way to charge up a phone in the back seat. So I am very impressed to see that here in the Versa. We don't even have an armrest back here that folds out. What we do have is our cup holders here on the door. And if you get the SR trim, the only way to get this on a Versa, you do get the 60/40 split folding seats right here. I believe on the lower trims that this all folds just as one piece. It is kind of nice to have the 60/40 split. And last but not least, I'm actually kind of impressed with the trunk on this car. It is very deep. It is very wide, as you can see. Now, it does have these straight hinges right here. It doesn't have struts or anything like that, so that is going to impede the interior space by just a little bit. But you get 15 cubic feet back here. Gotta say, that's actually bigger than a lot of luxury cars. Like, it's bigger than a Mercedes C-Class. It's bigger than a BMW 3 Series, and this is a subcompact car, remember. I do wish that Nissan still made the Versa hatchback so that you would have more vertical space, but look at all of this horizontal space. As long as you're not putting a lot of tall objects in here, I think the Versa could actually be a pretty practical car for somebody. All right, now let's get out on the road in the cheapest new vehicle that you can buy in America, the Nissan Versa. And the first thing that you need to know about this car is it is not very fast. We've got a real basic engine here. It's 1.6 liters, 4 cylinders, 122 horsepower, and 114 pound-feet of torque. Now, honestly, compared to some stuff from even just a few years ago, those aren't really terrible numbers, but it's gonna be hard to find a brand new vehicle with less power than this, brand new. And all of that power goes out to the front wheels. Pretty self-explanatory, no all-wheel drive on the Versa. You get a 5-speed manual on the base car. Every other trim level, including the base, you can actually option it, gets this Xtronic is what Nissan calls it. It's a CVT, so no gears. It kind of has pulleys to simulate gears. 0 to 60 is going to take 10.6 seconds. You heard that right. 10.4 seconds. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you in case you don't believe me. I'm actually gonna put it into the secret sport mode that you get on the gear selector here, and we're just gonna floor it. Come on. That still was not 60 miles an hour. And it does the thing that most CVTs do where it just keeps you in the power band. It doesn't really try to fake gears like some other Nissan CVTs do. But honestly, I feel like if you're driving this car around normally, you should be just fine with it. It's really not a big problem. The transmission, or lack thereof, really helps you keep this car in the power band. and it helps keep the RPMs low even when you're at some very, very high speeds. You might think that because this vehicle has very little power, that it would need to stay at high RPMs just to keep you moving, but that's actually not true. At 80 miles an hour, the CVT can really keep it like at or around 2,000 RPM, so you get some amazing fuel economy. In fact, I've been driving this car for the past couple of days. I've taken it to and from the airport. I'm averaging about 37 miles per gallon right now, but that's only because I've been driving it around for filming, and that's hurt the fuel economy. I also just did a stupid 0 to 60 launch right there, or didn't even make it to 60 miles an hour really. But really before that, I was getting about 40 mpg, which is extremely impressive given that this is not a hybrid, it has no electrification whatsoever, it's just a gasoline engine, and there's not a lot of weight here. The Versa only weighs anywhere from about 2,600 to a little over 2,700 pounds, so it is really light. There's not a lot of weight to move around. Now, if you get the CVT, you're going to be getting 32 mpg in the city, 40 on the highway, and 30 combined. Those numbers are actually significantly lower if you get the manual transmission, the 5-speed manual. 27 in the city, 35 on the highway, so 5 lower there on the highway with that 5-speed transmission, and only 30 combined. So that's a good reason, about 5 mpg, to get the CVT, and I think most people who buy this car are. I can't see that many people that are probably going to get the manual. In terms of how it drives, the suspension is all right, honestly. We've got independent front struts. We do have a torsion beam in the rear. Is this the most sophisticated setup? Absolutely not. When you go over a big bump here, oof, the rear end kind of hops a little bit, but for as cheap as this car is, I can't really fault it at all. I think it's a pretty nice driving experience. Honestly, the steering is decently accurate. It's very light. I mean, the car itself is light, so that should be expected, but yeah, the steering is decently accurate. It's not like super vague. I know the last generation Versa was just such a dud to drive. It was very sloppy. There was nothing going on through the wheel. Nissan really improved that when this current generation Versa came out, and honestly, if you're used to just driving like big heavy cars, the light and pluckiness of this is actually kind of a breath of fresh air. It changes directions like pretty nicely. There's a little bit of deadness right after you get it off center, but it's really kind of enjoyable to drive. I actually kind of like it. And then there's all the safety stuff. It's amazing what Nissan was able to package at this price level. Nissan Safety Shield 360 is standard. That's going to get you automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, rear automatic braking, high beam assist, and then because we're in the top trim, we also have blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert. We even have adaptive cruise control on a vehicle this cheap. I gotta just say, I'm really impressed with everything that this delivers at the price. All right, so that was the 2024 Nissan Versa. Let's go over pricing. I mentioned that it is up a little bit compared to last year, but this is still the cheapest new car that you can buy in America. So the base S trim, which I will remind you, comes with a 5-speed manual transmission, so you have to be able to drive a stick, starts at $16,130. That's right, the Versa has crossed over the $16,000 mark. It used to start at under $16,000 in the 15s last year, but it is a little bit more expensive this year. If you want to get the Xtronic CVT, which I think most people watching this video probably will, that's going to start at $17,800. So pretty big jump to get the CVT there. They are offering a pretty steep discount to get the base car with a 5-speed manual, if you can even find one of those at your local dealership. I will also point out that these prices do not include a $1,095 destination fee that, you know, make the car a little bit more expensive, but every car sold new today has a destination fee. Now, the SV trim, that's gonna add a lot. Honestly, if you don't want the manual, I think you're better off spending the money to get the SV trim. You're getting a lot of extra features at that price for $19,420. So you still stay under that $20,000 mark, before destination, that is, and I think that is probably the best bargain of the bunch. But then if you're already spending that much, you're really not spending a whole lot more to get this sporty SR trim, which gets the bigger screen, you get heated seats, you get adaptive cruise control for $20,140, not including destination. That is an outstanding value. I already think the Versa was my favorite car kind of in this segment already. You've got the Mitsubishi Mirage, which has way less power and is really junky inside. You've got the Kia Rio, which was all right, but I believe it got more expensive at the higher trim levels. And then you have this amazing fuel economy, pretty decent styling, great features inside at an amazing price. If you've got a kid in high school and you can afford to get them something new and reliable, but you want to do it as cheaply as possible, this is a great car. The only question that I would have is, by the time you're buying this car, you're probably not paying like full price cash for it, you're probably financing it. So the monthly payment might actually not be that much lower than the Sentra, which is way more powerful, safer, bigger on the inside, and has very similar features. So that would be my only hesitation to get the Versa. Otherwise, it's a really outstanding little car. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2024 Nissan Versa. For more videos like it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.